Hi, I'm Titli Nihaan and this is my busy garden. It's a bit chilly again this week, which is why I've got my jumper on. There's been a lot of rain and a lot of wind, so let's get busy. The wind and rain have taken a lot of apples out of this big apple tree, so I think it's time I picked all the apples. Well, that's a lot of apples I've got here, and they're not bad at all. I'm going to be making a lot of apple pies. Do you want some? I suppose while I'm at it, and before they fall off and get battered, I should pick the rest of the apples too. Well, I've got no complaints about the quantity of these apples. It's just that they're lacking a little bit on size, but they more than make up for in taste. Sweet, sharp, crisp, like a sweeter form of Granny Smith. It's time for the first system upgrade to Strawberry Patch 2.0. In the wind we've been having, my strips of matting have been blowing about a bit too much. So I bought a few more pegs to implement a stability update. Most of these plants are looking reasonably healthy, I'm pleased to say. Strawberry Patch 2.1 upgrade complete. I think while I'm in the mood, I'm going to harvest the beetroot. I'm in the mood for harvesting. I think I can safely remove all the defences from this particular plot now, because it doesn't matter too much if the cats dig in here anymore. Right, let's see what we've got then. Baby beet. Baby beet, bigger beet, no beet. Well, that's quite interesting. I've got some very well developed beets here, which would be great for pickling and make hubby happy. But there's some other beets here which are a little underdeveloped, and I'm just simply going to replant these and let them grow. And there we are, and with a little bit of luck, I'll have some beetroot over the winter. Hubby will be pleased. Now I'm going to spend the rest of this week sorting out Soft Fruit City. It's been a little bit neglected while I've been picking fruit, but you can see that these blackberries have gone absolutely berserk. The first thing I'm going to do is dismantle my fruit cage. There's an awful lot of net here and I feel a bit like Mrs. Messy, so I need to sort this out first. Back in a minute. Now the blackberries have pretty much finished fruiting. There's one or two which I'll pick off. And the blackberry in the middle here is doing really well. I bought it a year ago. Now what I'm about to tell you will probably horrify many of you. I'm going to completely remove this blackberry bush because next year I want my blackberries to grow on my new bush, and it'll also give a bit more space for the jostaberry to grow. You'll see that in a bit. In the meantime, if you're squeamish, close your eyes and look away. And now See if I can dig out this root. That's good. Well, I don't think I've got every absolute last bit of root out of this blackberry, but hopefully enough to stop it coming back next year. And next year I'm pinning all my hopes on my new blackberry bush. Now then, onto the josterberry. Now as I look at this josterberry, I'm struck by how kind of random and cluttered it is. So one thing I want to do is to randomise it, put a bit more structure back into the plant and use the space I've just created to train some of these shoots along. Now the result of all that carnage is that I've only really got 2 stems, and I've trained them along the wires, or at least I've pushed them along the wires that the blackberries used to occupy. Now I'm thinking longer term here. I'm not expecting a lot of fruit from this next year, but 2014 could be a different prospect. Now I've got some space to do something with my tayberries, and because the canes are so flexible, I can do pretty much what I want with them. So what I've done here is I've taken one of the canes, taken it along the top piece of wire, and then taken it round the bend, and it's coming back on itself again. And the same is true down here. Take it along the wire, woo-wee, round we go and back again. And as they keep growing, I'll keep turning them back the way they came. Voila! Now, having tidied all this lot up, there's one job left to do. It's a job I hate. It's weeding. Grumble, 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 grumble. Grumble, 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 grumble. You guys, I really hate that job. Now you might notice that things are a lot brighter in the greenhouse today, and there's 2 very good reasons for that. Firstly, I've removed the shading, and secondly, I've hacked out an awful lot of the tomato foliage. The net result is that my tomatoes are getting a lot more light, a lot more air, and they need it at this time of year to help the fruit to ripen. But it's not just ripe tomatoes that are interesting. You can make a delicious chutney with green tomatoes, and I've always had my eye on some of these tomatoes, so I'm going to pick me some green uns. Perfect! No prizes for guessing what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. Actually, I think I'm going to pick some of these desi chillies as well. One of the motivations for growing these particular chillies, because obviously I can put them into curries, but I love to make chilli pickle with them. And if you've not seen my recipe on YouTube, go look at it. There's about a pound of chillies here, and this is going to be absolutely perfect for making a delicious pickle. I think I've got a busy afternoon ahead in the kitchen. I've come into my infamous busy kitchen to show you 1 or 2 things, and we'll start with those small apples that you saw me picking earlier. So what I'm doing is I'm coring them, peeling them, cutting them in half, and then slicing them to about 2 to 3 millimeters thick, and then popping them into this little thing. Well, not so little actually. It's a fruit and vegetable dryer, and it'll dry these to sort of chewy crisps really. They make a delicious snack. Pop on the lid, and we're done. I've got 5 trays full here. They'll take around 7 or 8 hours to dry, and as I said, you can use them as snacks, or you can actually use them in cooking as well. They go really well in cookies. Now while I'm in the kitchen, I might as well show you these. You might remember these from earlier in the year. They're doing really well, and they've even got little flower buds coming on them too. This, however, this is an avocado stone, and I poked 4 toothpicks into it and suspended it in a glass of water. And after about 6 to 8 weeks, it started to shoot, and it's doing so well, I think it's about time I potted him up. Come on, little fella, in your new home. I'm just going to snap these sticks off because they're really well embedded. Pop him in. A couple of other things before we leave the kitchen. Do you remember those little red onions that I harvested and said, not much bigger than pickling onions? These will be ready for Christmas. And the beetroot, I washed it, I boiled it for about 40-45 minutes, cooled it, peeled off the skins, sliced it and put it in some vinegar. I can't take credit for this, but this was hubby's idea. You know, it may be autumn, but there's still an awful lot of colour in my garden right now. That's all I've got time for this week. Thanks for watching and do join me next time in Titli's busy garden.